What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So they did it again. They put another really good fragrance out. This is much more of a clone than anything else they've put out in this line before. We are talking about the new Hawas Elixir. Highly reflective, as you can see, mirrored. Gold bottle. Smells eerily similar to this. Now, is it good enough? We're going to find out. Stay tuned. So we'll take a look around the presentation. If you want to grab it, I grabbed it for 51 bucks from Fragrance Buy down in the link below. I do earn a small commission if you happen to purchase it. No, they didn't send it my way. I did buy it as part of a haul. I'm trying to angle it to where it's not just mirrored the whole time, you know. Hawas Elixir. Their caps are always really nice because I love that little snake tail kind of deal they have going on. It does hold into place, and it's a lot of metal filled with plastic. It's a nice cap. Always has been. Then you got a pretty good atomizer. Does a good job, right? Let's talk about the smell. So when this opens, it's minty. Now, it's not as minty as this. This is minty. This is peppermint candy kind of minty. This, not really. That's the big difference here, is the mintiness. And then we have Paris Corners Viralis, which is more about honeyed sweetness. I would say this is the least like. This is the most like the sweetness of Le Male Elixir. This is a giant peppermint twist on Le Male Elixir, and this is a little bit earthier in the dry down. It's got more of that tobacco, slight chocolatey-ish tobacco. Like, that's here, but it's a lot more here. So, because people are going to ask me, what about this one? What about this one? What about Lataf of the Kingdom? You didn't mention Lataf of the Kingdom. I don't have it. Get off my back. Maybe at some point I'll get it. But as far as this one, it is minty. It is aromatic. It does smell really close. And as it dries, it becomes even closer. You get that honeyed vanilla tonka bean sweetness. It's a little powdery, but it's more earthy, I find, than powdery like actual Le Male Elixir. This is a slight twist, but I would say this is much more of a clone of, whereas this is more inspired by. Difference. Inspired by is going to remind you of it, but still kind of have a pretty big difference, making it its own thing, whereas clone of is like they're trying to be really close. And that's why I say of the Hawases, this is the one that's the most of a clone of the original, of ice, of fire, of black. Black pretty much smells like Hachivat. I would say this one and Hawas Black are the clone, big time, like that's clones. This is good though. The quality here is actually better than all but like Hawas Black. The quality is really good on that one. The others are very synthetic. Smell really good, but they're very synthetic. So there's no mistaking. If you're looking for a really good inspiration of Le Male Elixir, this is probably the one I would go with. I would definitely go with it over Viralis. And unless you just really want that enhanced peppermint smell, go with this over this. I personally prefer this one because I love the heavy dose of peppermint. I think it freshens it up quite a bit and makes it more of a twist where it's less redundant to own the two of these, whereas these are all really redundant. It's redundant to have all of these. Like, if you have Hawas Elixir, you don't need Le Male Elixir. If you have Le Male Elixir, I don't know why you're buying Hawas Elixir, because you got the original experience. Again, as always, if you want the original experience, you need to grab the original. But this gives you a really close representation. This is like really, really close. This is almost Le Male Elixir. Again, it's got an enhanced mintiness that you don't really get in the original without being as much as the Armaf. And it's a little bit earthier than the original, which in some ways, for some, this will be better than having the original. So you're going to have to blind buy it. So you got to really, take what I'm saying with a grain of salt, because it's not this hearing me describe it and telling you my experience is not the same thing as you testing it on your skin and smelling it with your nose. So keep that in mind. But I do think it smells incredible. The wife did like it. 5 sprays yesterday was actually way more than I needed. I had a feeling it was a bad idea. It literally burned her nose when she went to hug me. She's like, that is like really strong. She said, when I back off, it's way better. She said, it's way better here. She got like 3 feet away from me. She's like, it smells way better. She's like, that is really, really strong. Is that new? She started asking about it. She was intrigued because she liked it. So that's a positive. So it does smell really good. It does smell pretty accurate. I would say it's every bit of 80-85% Lamal Elixir as far as accuracy, because there are those subtle differences of it's mintier and it's a little bit earthier, but the earthiness is also a little chocolatey at the same time. Like it's a slight chocolatey type of tobacco, almost like a chocolatey patchouli, which I don't even know. I don't think patchouli's in here. And if it is, that would make sense on why I get a light chocolatey smell, but stuff's really good. They did it again. Now, performance. Beast. It's a beast. This is 8+ hours easily. For those of you new to the channel, I don't do it's 11.5 hours, it's 13 hours. Once it passes 8, it's 8+. That's how we do it over here on the breakdown for the full reviews. So 8+ hours in longevity easily. Projection is on the heavy side. This is a really strong fragrance. I think I'm going to be a little modest and say moderate to heavy because it depends on how you spray. If you cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and you spray heavy for some ungodly reason with a strong fragrance, yeah, it's an absolute monstrous, obnoxious beast that you won't even smell because you've already beat your nose to death from spraying heavy with every fragrance you wear. So you don't smell nothing until you get to 15, 20 sprays in the first place. Your nose is totally fucked. Whereas those of you that are more modest with your sprays, and some people do 2 sprays, some people do 4 or 5, some people go to 8. I would say 8 is a whole lot with this fragrance. 5 was quite a bit. I could have got away with 3 easily with this, and people would smell me. So the wife had to back her off at 5. So obviously everybody's situation is different. Everybody's nose sensitivity level is going to be different, but projection on here is definitely on the, like I said, I'm going to be modest with moderate to heavy for 2 to 3 hours. This is a really strong fragrance in the sillage. Again, I would put it on the heavy side. Really strong, dense bubble around you for, you know, the entirety of the life of the fragrance. It's pretty much going to be on your skin until you scrub it off. This stuff is a certifiable beast in my opinion. So if you're looking for a monster, if you put dollar amount value on performance, which a lot of people do, and I get it, high value, bang for your buck then, if you're looking for that. Final thoughts on Hawas Elixir. That performance category, the subcategories, the cumulative score really bumped this thing's overall because it smells great. I gave it an 8 out of 10 first impressions rating, but when you do some testing and you factor in the performance levels of longevity, projection, and sillage, it bumps this one up to a 9. This is a 9 out of 10 fragrance. This is outstanding for its category of the affordable Middle Eastern fragrances. This is a 9 out of 10 fragrance. So, because some people, I want y'all to know, not all 9s are created equally. I don't always explain this thoroughly, and apparently I should do it more. The Middle Eastern stuff and clones and everything are its own category. Designer, its own category. Indie, niche, its own category. So a 9 out of 10 niche fragrance and a 9 out of 10 Hawas Elixir are not the same. Does that make sense? They're outstanding for different reasons. For their category, this is an outstanding 9 out of 10 standout for its category. Hope that sheds a little bit of light and makes sense, because I know I've seen in the past where it's offered a little bit of confusion. It's like, well, that's a 9 out of 10. Well, how's that an 8? If you gave a 9 out of 10 to that $30 fragrance, but this $250 fragrance you gave an 8 that you say you really like. That's why. Different categories. You got to categorize things when it comes to a slew of variety-filled niche such as perfume. Hope that helps. So, yes, with its category and its ratings across the board, the cumulative score makes it an outstanding 9 out of 10. This is definitely worth the $51 that I spent. And for you, as long as you don't have a bunch of other Lamal Elixir clones, because there's no reason to have a bunch of them, because after you get to 2, by the time you buy a 3rd one trying to be satisfied getting to this smell, you could have just bought this and got exactly what you're looking for. So if you don't have a bunch of Lamal Elixir clones already, I would say this is the best one I've tried as far as accuracy and performance and value overall. Well, that's my thoughts and feelings, my full review on Hawas Elixir. This is another banger from them. They have never disappointed me. They've never disappointed me. I think the hype on every single Hawas fragrance is warranted and justified. They're all really good. They're all super mass appealing. They're all strong performers. They're affordable. I mean, every single one of them is a beast. Every single one. There is not a mediocre performing one. And I don't want to hear the juice color and the batch and what about this batch, bro? I don't want to hear that. Go to the forums. This ain't the forums. I don't want to hear that nonsense because it's a nose sensitivity thing. It's an olfactive fatigue thing. I don't want to argue with people about it because when I say that, people want to argue with me. I'm not here to argue, guys. I'm just here to share my experience and have a nice discussion. If you want to have a nice discussion with me, I'm always up for a nice discussion. If you would like to argue with me, please leave. I don't want to argue with anyone because I find more times than not people think communication in this space needs to be an argument, and it does not. It definitely does not. If we don't see eye to eye, that's okay, but we don't have to argue about it. No, I'm right. No, I'm right. No, you're wrong. No, you're right. Go to the forums. There's people that are dying to argue with you over nonsense like what they smell and who's right and who's wrong. There's people that are dying to do that with you on their anonymous profiles. I promise there is a place for you to do that. This just ain't it. So thank you guys for checking it out. Again, there's a link down below if you're interested in checking it out. I don't know anybody that's selling decants. I'm not saying you can't search on Google and maybe find some places. If you want to try before you buy, try to blind buy responsibly as best you can. I know blind buying and responsible don't necessarily go hand in hand when it comes to spending money, but hey, it's what we do in this space with this hobby. We roll the dice sometimes, and I can tell you, for me, this was a really good dice roll. I like it. Have a good one.